Hey guys, welcome to Blazing Guitars, where we talk about worship gear, music, guitar, and everything in between. My name is Blaze Nelson, and today I wanted to introduce a concept called the box. Now what the box is essentially a blueprint or a guide that you can think about and use as you're trying to arrange music and arrange pieces for different instruments in your team. So before we jump into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, or concerns, please leave a comment below and I will get back to you. If you'd like to support what I'm doing on the channel, you can do so at Patreon, which is linked in the description below. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so the idea behind this concept is actually pretty straightforward. So if you think of your sound in terms of a box, and then each person takes up a piece of that box. So let's say the bass frequency range is like this, right? And your guitar's frequency range is like that. Your piano is like this. Drums will have different frequency ranges, and you can actually go look online for different frequency charts, but those weren't necessary for what we're doing here today. So let's say the bass drum is like right here, and the snare, and the hi-hats and cymbals. And then your vocals, what will happen is that your vocals have their own range, kind of crossing all of them. So what you want to avoid is places in your song where there's overlap. Okay? So a lot of these instruments can actually overlap. You can see like right here, they can actually overlap a lot. And so as you're putting together your band and structuring a song, you want to make sure that each person kind of has their own area of the box. So you might want to encourage your bass player to play more down here. And even though the piano might have a range all the way across, you might want to encourage them to play more up here. And this isn't hard and fast, and you can have people in the same area, but if they're playing different things or different rhythms, then they can step away from each other as well. So there's a lot of ways to get around this, but what you want to avoid is just a huge traffic jam right here in this middle frequency. And you want to avoid people playing the exact same thing in different pieces of the box. So that's the meat of the concept. You want people playing different things if they're in the same part of the box and in the same frequencies, or you want them playing in completely different frequencies altogether. So for example, if you have a song that's G and C and you have two acoustic guitar players, one could be playing something like this, and the other one can be playing something like this. And what that does is that gives space for each person. So if you have multiple guitars in a band, then they'll probably be stepping on each other a lot. If you have a piano and two acoustic guitars, what can happen is that those sections of the box can get really full. We've had problems with like our piano player covering for bass when we didn't have a bass player, and then adding a bass back in, all of a sudden all those low frequencies get really overcrowded. So you want to just make sure that as you're thinking about putting different people, and as you have a lot of people in the band, you want to make sure that you're giving them kind of each their own section of the box, or if they're in the same section, that they're playing something differently from each other so that they're not stepping all over each other. There's even been times where, as a vocalist, we've had a couple songs where my voice is just sitting right in the same range as my guitar, and it can make it hard for either the guitar to stand out or the voice to stand out, and so I've had to move or change the way that I'm playing so that I'm not in the same section of the box as my guitar. It's a pretty straightforward concept, but once you start thinking about it, it can help your band sound a lot cleaner as you encourage people to kind of get out of each other's ways, especially with your piano players and your guitar players. If you can encourage them to get out of each other's way, that can really be helpful. So there you guys have it. I hope that was helpful. As I said, super straightforward concept, but when you start thinking about it and you actually start applying it to your band, you might notice like songs, for example, that have a lot of crowding in one spot of the box. You can encourage people to step away from each other and to really give each other space, and that can really help your music sound a lot cleaner on a Sunday morning. And it's a pretty straightforward thing to implement. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week.